Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
It is time for the Pilkening.
It is time. I have a glass of milk. I am showing Matt my webcam to make sure that he knows I am doing well. I also have a nice.
You're going baby. Diet Pilk.
I'm going diet, yes, because I am a diet soda person. So that's
okay. So
we'll see. We'll have different tastes.
Yep.
Here.
So I am also doing the Pilk.
Yes, Matt's very kind enough to join me.
Out of morning big curiosity, and Chris beat me in every other game that we've done this year. So
fair enough.
All right. Oh boy! Oh, this color is really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, alright, so now, you see that's a little foamy now? Alright, 3, 2,
Cheers.
1, bottoms up. It's not bad.
It's not revolting.
It's not revolting.
It's not good.
I don't think it's good.
No.
I feel like I would enjoy this more with there's some soy milks that have like they have like a specific flavor with them. If I had like a soy vanilla milk, I feel like it would taste really good.
Yeah. Over Christmas, I made like a Coke float. Like I just put ice cream in a glass and then poured Coke in it.
Mm-hmm. I love those. We're both still drinking it. I love root beer floats and stuff. So that's why I was like kind of hoping that it would taste like. I think because the milk is so flavorless anyway, like it just tastes like dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not great. It's not.
It's not great. No.
But it's not. But it's not like a gagging. Like I think I'm still gonna finish this. Is where I'm at right now. I'm gonna.
See, I don't know if I will. Or want to.
Nearly spit out my Pilk when you said that. No, fair enough. That's fair enough. I feel like I need to. My bones are Jello, and so I need to drink some Pilk for my bones to get nice and strong.
I also just ate right before this.
Maybe not the best idea.
Best idea.
I also just I ate like 5 minutes ago, so this is actually my beverage of choice.
I ate like 20 minutes ago, so like
yeah. So but yeah, no, not great, not great.
No, not the best. Hate the color. It deceptively looks like chocolate milk, like that you make with like Hershey syrup, but like not enough Hershey syrup.
After it like fizzes down though, because the bubbles on the top will make you think like, oh, this is definitely not chocolate, or this is the wrong kind of syrup.
All right, now my question is, would I rather drink Pilk again or do the wet sock episode again?
Oh, I drink. I mean, granted, I did do the wet.
You
socks
didn't do the wet socks,
but I probably could tell you that the Pilk is probably better in this instance, in my opinion. But
with the wet sock, like it was awful immediately. You are doubting that thing. Holy shit!
I was just like, you know what? I don't want it sitting in the cup anymore. I'm done looking at it. I downed it. I'll just say, overall, 3 out of 5 stars. 3 out of 5.
Really? Okay.
It was okay.
See,
it was okay.
I'm more of a 2 out of 5. I think
that's fine. Yeah, like this is not. I would not do this again.
Yeah,
is where I'm at.
And see, I'm someone who drinks a lot of soda and a lot of milk.
Yeah.
And I don't like them together.
Yeah. I guess it's I don't drink enough milk, and that's probably the biggest thing.
I mean, it's probably okay that you don't drink enough milk. Milk is not that great for you.
Yeah.
I still do it regrettably.
No, it's like I was joking earlier, like maybe they always tell you about bone growth and needing to drink milk that way, but there's probably other shit that can help you out on that front.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while that sits in my stomach, because now I'm actually starting to feel it a little bit.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to a loaded cheesy fry episode of virtual ball boys. In fact, saying the words loaded cheesy fry even makes me a little bit more sick. So I'm gonna just shut up
No
about
more
any
food.
And
Talk today.
No more food.
Horrible time to do the Pilk.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about. It is wildcard weekend coming up, so we have a lot of fun matchups. Well, a couple of fun matchups, I guess, to talk about. We have a smorgasbord of loose ends to tie up. One of them was Pilk, but also we need to talk about all of our picks and what we did with them this year. I also just now remembered that we might as well recap the college football, what that final was, because that championship was on Monday. So I'll also open that tab up when we get to that. We will also be talking about the VBBFL team. We, of course, last week, because of everything that happened with Damar Hamlin, which, by the way, he is released from the hospital, which is just absolutely amazing. Or at least, last I heard, he was on the cusp of being released. I don't know if he's
I believe he is
released,
out, yes.
But that's so really turning out to be a happier story after a very scary situation. But we will we were going to make our last VBBFL team today. We have some coaching news to go over, but first things first, let's talk about week 18. And Matt, if at first I did not put it as my game as the game of the week because I put it in the chaos category, but I just felt like we could not. That would almost feel disrespectful to the Detroit Lions to call it a chaos.
Yes.
Because they showed on Sunday that they are not to be messed with, and that they are for real, and hopefully someday in the future we'll see this team in the playoffs. Unfortunately, this year is not the year, but they went out on a high note and beat the Green Bay Packers and knocked Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs, kicking off what will probably be yet another annoying offseason of whether or not Aaron Rodgers will be a Green Bay Packer or even play football again. But Matt, what was your takeaway from that
Jubilation.
game? Yes.
Glee. Ecstasy. It was Sunday was the single greatest day of the Bears season. Not only, but entirely having nothing to do with the Chicago Bears themselves.
Weirdly enough, yeah.
Yeah. Because not only did Aaron Rodgers get knocked out of the playoffs in spectacular fashion, because fuck that guy. And he had all this talk about running the table, going on his best buddy Pat McAfee show and be like, "Oh, we're all set, whatever." Fuck off. He once again loses at home in January because he's a fraud and not a good player. Well, he's a good player, but he isn't clutch anymore. And it felt good. I'm so happy for the Lions. I felt a bit of a kinship with the Lions being like the ones that get picked on in the NFC North as a Bears fan. And I would love to see them grow. Jamal Williams gets my vote for my favorite NFL player this year.
Hell yeah.
Not only for breaking the Lions touchdown record, not only for helping my fantasy team, but just because, and also because he's a giant fucking nerd.
Oh yeah. That was on full display.
Yep. He had a full-on Naruto intro on Sunday Night Football. And then corrected a reporter on the pronunciation of Pokemon. Get out of here with your Pokemon.
Man. I'm so bummed that we're not going to see this Lions team anymore.
Come on, Rams. I
know. The Rams almost did it, and then Baker Mayfield threw a terrible interception in overtime and kind of sealed it at that point. Just a bummer that we're not going to see them, because I do think that out of the 3 NFC teams that were making their way, at first, I went into Sunday thinking it was going to be maybe the Packers would be a little bit more interesting here, But nope, they just show that they're the same old Packers that will fall apart in the moments that matter for them.
However,
like
it's going to be hard for San Francisco because they don't get a free win this year.
Right. Well, that's the thing though too. Like I thought about, because I initially was gonna have the Titans and Jaguars be our game of the week, and I ended up taking them off. But I thought about the Jaguars. You know, they won. They got the AFC South title. I'm super stoked about that, because between like the Jaguars and Lions, I feel like we're the two teams this year, especially the second half of this year, where both were going on a decent run, and really it felt like both of them could make the playoffs. I kind of am glad that it was the Jaguars in and then the Lions didn't make it, because I feel like the Lions, as fun as they are to watch, I worry if they went to San Francisco how well they would have played, because I just feel like San Francisco is such a juggernaut. They're such a like they are not slowing down. They're on 10-game winning streak. Versus the Jaguars, who I actually think could make a legitimate run, or at least could attempt to make a run in the AFC playoffs. And I just feel like I as much as I'm bummed to see the Lions get eliminated, this might have been in a better scenario for them, because they end the season on the highest of high note.
Yeah.
By beating your rival in Green Bay, and now saying, hey, look, we're going to be a legitimate team next year, as long as you bring back Jared Goff and I believe Jamal Williams are both they're both free agents. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, if you bring both of them back and you bring even more free agents in, you have a great draft, which you have a high draft pick thanks to the Rams not having a good season. That you're in a very, very good situation for the future, and so I'm happy for them, and they deserve all the love. Next up is our blowout of the week. Speaking of the 49ers, the Cardinals at 49ers game was the blowout of the week. Feel like we don't really need to talk about this game, but I'm going to pivot here and let's talk about Cardinals having fired Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim here. Steve Keim technically stepped aside.
He's not coming back though. Officially now.
No, yeah, he's resigned, and that whole situation's very bizarre with Keim specifically, because he kind of stepped aside a few weeks earlier, and it was around the time that the offensive line coach for the Cardinals had been let go after he was accused of potentially groping someone. And then he came out with a statement saying it wasn't him, and he kind of hinted at the idea that it might have been Keim.
Because they look similar.
Because they look similar.
Yeah, that's a weird... Oh my god, what the fuck is going on with my voice? Jesus Christ.
No, it's okay. You're all good.
I'm back to work this week, so I've been talking a lot more than...
You know what before. Also hurts? The fucking milk.
The fact that we just drank Pilk.
Yeah, the milk I think is hurting our voices as well. But the fact that Steve, yes, it's like Steve Keim and that offensive line coach, they're both like pudgy bald guys, and so it's like I guess they were just like, oh, we'll just have the offensive line coach take the fall, maybe. I don't know. We don't know what the situation is, but that whole thing is bizarre,
very suspect.
But going to Cliff Kingsbury here, this felt like since the beginning of the season, even before the team started to really start to lose a lot of games, it kind of felt like this team was destined to not have and try to repeat what they had last year, which was a really great start, and then they fell apart. They've fallen apart from the very beginning, and this just felt inevitable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Cardinals are likely going to trade DeAndre Hopkins. I'm looking forward to DeAndre Hopkins being a Bear next year. And then just moving on from that. By the way, Chris, I'm also going to be very annoying this offseason because every possible free agent I'm going to say is going to the Bears.
That's fine.
But it's possible because they have the most cap room of any team in the league right now. And the number one overall pick.
This is, look what happened with the Jags. They had the number one overall pick, and now they're in the playoffs, right?
Yep.
So anything can happen from a year to year, and if the Bears handle it right, the regime handles it right, then they're in great shape. I do want to touch on something about the Bears and the number one overall pick, but we can hold off on that.
Yes.
I think what's interesting with the Cardinals is like I don't know what the future holds for them. What I do know though is that it does seem like they are putting their backs behind, or they're gonna have Kyler's back here.
Yeah.
Which I did not think was a sure thing necessarily, because I think a lot of people kind of saw how the contract extension happened, and then we saw the language of that contract, and it made it seem like, oh well, he plays video games too much, so he needs to have a certain amount of time to keep track of plays. I think that's the smarter move for them. I know that he did not have a great year, and obviously he lost some games at the end because of the injury. So we'll see how it kind of comes if he comes back, and he seems like they're going to use him in the head coaching search. They're going to rely on his opinion on that. So I think that's the right call for now, and we'll see how it goes. Now,
yeah,
the chaos of the week is Chargers at Broncos, and I just really wanted to talk about this game because I don't know what Brandon Staley was thinking. I think a lot of people kind of wanted to talked about it after the fact, but he decides, you know what, we want to keep the momentum going. Let's have our starters out there against the Broncos, and let's see what happens. And not great things happened. And
nope.
As of now, Mike Williams, he went out with a back injury, and
still questionable. Game time decision.
Still questionable. He did not practice as of this recording. And he did have, I think Joey Bosa even left the game at one point as well. It was, and they still lost. They played their starters and they lost to this Broncos team, which obviously has had its own kind of bit of disaster this year. It's funny, like, I do think the Chargers are going to be, I think the Chargers game against the Jags is going to be probably the best game of Wildcard Weekend, but I think with what happened with Brandon Staley and his decision to start players, and maybe it wasn't just him, maybe the players wanted to play the game, it just, everything kind of felt like there was so much feel good vibes about the Chargers kind of entering Week 18, because it felt like, hey, you're locked into a playoff spot. You're gonna either play the 5 or 6 seed, and or you're going to be the 5 or 6 seed, and you're in a good space. Just you could sit your starters and move on. And now, because they chose to start them, and then you injured one of your best players, just like it feels like all of a sudden the bad luck the Chargers are dealing with have kind of rebubble to the surface.
Yeah, that's been kind of the Chargers' MO for a while, is really bad injury luck at the worst possible times.
And did they say that Slater was going to come back?
They have activated his practice window.
Okay.
But I think he would likely only come back if they moved on.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, probably just for the possibility of if they go further.
Yeah, because that would be a huge get for them if they can get him back. But again, I think all eyes are on Mike Williams to see if he starts. But yeah, and then talking about what happened post Week 18, and again there was a lot of interesting games. The Bills had an amazing double kickoff return, but one that started off the game that I thought like a lot of people are going to remember for a long time. And it was a huge. It felt like a celebration of DeMar Hamlin during that game. It was a close game. The Patriots did play the Bills close, but the Patriots ultimately lost that game. Dolphins won their game, so the Dolphins are going to be playing the Bills in Wild Card Weekend. The Titans, like we said, Jaguars won, so they're in the AFC South as well. It ended up pretty much working out. The Bengals beat the Ravens, so there's no
coin flip drama.
Yeah, there was going to be a coin flip drama if the Ravens beat the Bengals and then they played in Wildcard Weekend. There's none of that, but the Ravens will be playing the Bengals in Cincinnati. That'll be interesting. And this is actually news that came out after our recording on Thursday. The Bills and Chiefs, because they won their final games. If the two of them end up meeting in the AFC Championship game, they'll be playing at a neutral site, which has now been confirmed to be Atlanta Stadium. So Mercedes-Benz Stadium will be the home of the AFC Championship game if the Bills and the Chiefs play in it.
Yep.
Texans. Goddamn. I feel like through three... This is our fourth... We're wrapping up our fourth season, this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is the third season in a row that the Texans have fired their head coach in Lovie Smith, which, I mean, maybe a good move if they feel like Lovie Smith's not the answer, but then you have to ask, why the fuck did they hire him in the first place?
You know the reason.
I know the reason.
You know the reason, and if you're unsure, it's because they didn't hire a lot of black coaches last year, and they didn't want to get accused of being racist. Right. Even though now they have fired 2 black head coaches in a row with a very underperforming team and an underperforming roster.
Right. It was an underperforming roster. It was a not as talented roster, but they did kind of overperform.
They kind of did, given the circumstances.
Yeah, in both situations. And it's just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I get the idea of like, okay, like me personally, I have personally experienced a lot of Lovie Smith teams. Sure. And since the Bears, Lovie has not been like that great of a head coach, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not the specific like people like, oh, you have to keep these guys on, but it is like you need to look at those patterns.
Yeah.
Of why are they hiring these guys? Why are they being fired in certain situations? And yeah, it's very suspect.
Suspect.
Like I would like the right I always want the right person to be hired, but it is weird that so many black coaches and black players and some reasons in general. I have a lot of thoughts very soon about Justin Fields that that are semi-related to this, but if it and from a white person's perspective who is aware of these social these social situations, white players and coaches get more leeway than black players and coaches.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Like you can look like who's a great example who performed similarly. You could even say Matt Eberflus for the Bears.
Yeah.
Like, did not have a great season. In fact, had the worst season of the year. Nobody is calling to fire Matt Eberflus right now.
No. And also the fact that you have a lot of white backup quarterbacks to get time and time and again a chance, whereas a lot of black quarterbacks, It feels like they just kind of get pushed aside. Why that is a good transition, because I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's a lot of Bears fans who, for some reason, feel like even after he had a kind of spectacular, at least middle to the late end of the season, where it actually felt like maybe the Bears could win some games here with Justin Fields, it now feels like there's some Bears fans who want to move on from him in a trade.
You know what I call those Bears fans?
Yes.
Idiots.
Yeah.
Fools.
Yeah.
Like the number one pick holds a lot of power, right? And part of it is like they're getting power hungry. There's one of my favorite Family Guy scenes is Peter and Lois win a boat, and then they say the guy selling them a boat says, you can either have the boat or you can have what's inside this mystery box. And Lois is like, that's ridiculous, we'll take the boat. And Peter goes, now hold on, Lois, we don't know what's inside the box. It could be anything. It could even be a boat.
I don't understand. Like, I understand that there was, especially early in this season of the Bears,
yeah,
there was some trepidation. It felt like that maybe he was not going to be the guy. It felt like there was that he might have been the worst quarterback in the league at one point. But he turned that shit around, and he actually played very well against very good teams.
Good teams with nothing around him. That's the wildest thing. Look at Josh Allen before he had Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Excellent rusher, not known as a great passer, threw a lot of interceptions. Then he got Stephon Diggs. He got a great receiver, and he became amazing.
And he's one of the best quarterbacks.
He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Look at Tua, who his first year was not very good, right? And they were trying to trade for Watson. They were trying to do a lot of other things. He got Jalen Waddle. He got better. He got Tyreek Hill. He became amazing.
Yeah.
Even you even see the difference with Joe Burrow between having Jamar Chase and when he doesn't have Jamar Chase. Lamar Jackson, even before he got Hollywood Brown and before he got some receiver help, and he still doesn't have receiver help, but you get the idea. It can't just be the quarterback. And you saw an entire season of Trevor Lawrence last year. You've seen multiple seasons of Daniel Jones, and this is not to shit on Trevor Lawrence or Daniel Jones, but
no.
Like everybody, when people get more help, they play better. If Justin Fields gets more help, he will play better. It's that simple. It is it is mind-boggling how many people think that Bryce Young is going to be so much better. Yeah, he might be, but he might not be. And you know what you have in Justin Fields. Take the boat.
Yeah, take the boat.
Take the boat. Box. Keep the boat.
It is not even because you do get the draft analyst that said prior to his drafting was that, hey, Trevor Lawrence is a sure thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And granted, we are seeing now that now he's getting there. He's a super talented quarterback. But for a year and a half, it did not feel like that. It felt like he was kind of just more mediocre and just kind of trying to get through things. And then finally he started to really play a lot better. And once again, to your point, it even still, you could maybe even argue if he even has the help, but he certainly has gotten into a position where, now he's actually one of the better young quarterbacks in the league, and he probably has a very promising future in the league.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you kind of look at how Trevor Lawrence has improved over the course of this year and say, Jags are in good shape, and then look how Justin Fields improved over the course of this year, and then now be like, we need to get rid of him because we have the number one overall pick. It's
because
no,
you don't.
You don't, and also you don't. You have to build up the roster.
Yes,
and so you have nothing else. To really lead heavily on, except for Fields and maybe a couple of defensive players, but even a lot of those guys have gone.
Yeah,
you need to build up your team.
Yep.
So you don't trade away Justin Fields just to get Bryce Young. You have to actually have if you take Bryce Young, you still have to build an entire team around Bryce Young.
I think the idea is you trade Fields away for picks. But even then, you know what you can do? Trade the number one pick away and get even more picks.
Right, and you have a ton of picks already. It is really, it's a baffling argument. It's a weird situation. It's going to be a very fascinating offseason, though. And I'm kind of excited that you being a Bears fan, we're going to have that conversation leading into the draft about, okay, what does the Bears do with the number one overall pick? I think it makes, I think they trade it, but
unless there's some non-quarterback talent, like a Myles Garrett level generational defensive player.
Sure.
Which I don't think there is in this draft. I've done no draft research.
This is a quarterback centric draft. It's been a few years since we've had one of those, but it seems like Bryce Young and a few other guys are going to be
Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. Yeah. Well, it's probably been since Joe Burrow's Burrow Tua.
Right. Exactly.
Burrow, Tua, and Herbert.
Yeah.
That we've had this much QB. But yeah, unless it's a generational defensive player, you don't keep the number one pick. You trade it away. Because the Colts, the Texans are both QB hungry. You could maybe consider the Seahawks. A lot of teams in this area would want to trade up to that number one overall pick.
Yeah,
to try to vault the Texans.
Sneaky, maybe sneaky Patriots, maybe too.
Yeah,
there's a lot. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be looking for a quarterback in this draft. I think you have the market where I think I think there's some people that are like, maybe the Jaguars would trade their number one overall pick last year or whatever, and that didn't happen. But I think part of it was because there was it was kind of a deep enough draft where, well, I don't think that there was that clamoring for quarterbacks. I think quarterbacks are a very key reason why you want to trade up in this draft.
Yes.
And I think the fact that you have that for this particular draft, I think that's going to play a huge factor.
Yep.
Real quick, just to kind of go over some other news stuff. One thing I wanted to say about the Lovie Smith thing, his name has not come up yet. They're probably gonna go with Josh McCown now, right? Like that now they feel like that now they're at the point where, like, all right,
yeah,
maybe the Colts got all the backlash for Jeff Saturday, but maybe we could just sneak in Josh McCown
in there. No one's gonna pay attention. We're so shitty that no one's gonna pay attention to us.
Right? Yeah. That's what a mess the Texans are.
Yep.
Starfish.
Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah, Starfish fired their defensive coordinator Joe Woods. Commanders fired offensive coordinator Scott Turner. Jets fired offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Titans fired offensive coordinator Todd Downing and a couple other assistants. Rams offensive coordinator Liam Cohen left for the Kentucky job, which is the college level. And then Falcons defensive coordinator Dean Pease has retired for like the 50th time. Referring to some of those firings, I kind of feel like the Commanders firing Scott Turner feels like so much of a scapegoat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Ron Rivera as a person, but like, at this point, it's like, what? Like, do you really get rid of Scott Turner after he really tried to keep this team competitive offensively despite having like shitty quarterback talent? It's just a rough situation. It's kind of the same I could say about Jets offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Like, I feel like the fact that he did not have a quarterback to really work with well in that situation, I feel like he's kind of getting scapegoated a bit. Not to say that Robert Saleh should be fired, but I think it would have been nice to have seen them try get another quarterback and not have to really worry as much about wanting to fire anyone right now. But that's just me. All right. That is your Monday recap. That surprisingly low amount of coaching changes.
Yeah,
we've had only 5 this year.
Usually we get very close to. Usually we get pretty close to a quarter of the league changes.
Right. Yes. So now Sean McVay, he's weighing his future. So maybe something with that happens. But other than that, it does feel like maybe Dennis Allen does get fired too from the Saints.
Yeah,
that situation has been a little murky as well. So we'll see. Maybe next time you hear from us, the number will be up to 7, which feels a little bit more right. All right, Matt, are you ready for? Actually, we're pretty deep into the podcast. We drank Pilk and we talked a lot of the past. We're gonna talk about the future. We're gonna talk about VBBFL. But first, here's a word from our sponsors. Hi everyone, it's Chris, and I'm back once again to tell you all about Anchor. Anchor by Spotify has actually been the tool of choice for Team Chaos Productions since the moment we decided to get into podcasting. And the biggest reason for this is it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or even your phone. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, but also Apple Podcasts and many more. And best of all, Anchor is free. You do not need to worry about any features being locked out to you. You can get it all if you just download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Happy podcasting.
Sick of talking about video games with people who just want to be toxic? Me too. So join us over at the Gaming Coop. We come together each month to talk about what we love about video games. Discussion topics range from our favorite soundtracks to the best relationships between characters. We also have some fun segments in which we play some trivia or build our school of gaming. Find us on Anchor or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Game on!
Matt, it is time to do the VBBFL final team.
All right.
I had to wait a week, but we're here. We're ready to go. So in terms of the league landscape as we are at right now, this is the 7 teams that we have made thus far: the Woonsocket Firefoxes, the Euclid Pokedeer, the Westminster Mecha Moose, the Sanford Possum Express, the Lafayette Mud Otters, the Tacoma Glass Orcas, and the Joplin Ghost Hogs. I think that we have Washington, Colorado, Missouri, and I'm now teasing it a little bit. Louisiana is your Western Division. In the East Division, Ohio, North Carolina, Rhode Island, and Vermont.
Vermont, yes.
We're going to Bennington, Vermont.
Bennington. Now, Matt,
I did peek at this already. I was looking at this, and I already have an idea in my head, but I'll let you start to look at it a little bit.
Okay.
Bennington, Vermont has a population of about 15,000.
All right.
And they are known for yet another city that's known for its manufacturing, but one specific note that they are very much known for getting wood.
Okay.
They're the ones that chop woods. So immediately in my head, I thought, well, the first animal I could think of that's associated with wood is beavers.
Of course.
I think about the word wood. And I think about other synonyms. Lumber. The Bennington Lumbeavers.
That is.
Yeah, that's a start. We're gonna set the stage there.
Yeah.
We can work off of that. I know that we've also been promising, at least I've been promising you, that we would eventually get to a cat team.
I don't think there are any cats in Vermont, so
that's the problem at this point. I mean, unless we do have like a cougar or puma or whatever.
Yeah.
That's lying in the mountains in Vermont. Vermont, by the way, I have been to. There's a very nice diner there that I think has something to do with eggs. Like egg is part of their.
A breakfast place with egg in the name.
No, who would have guessed it?
Who?
But it was.
Who had this? Who did this?
But it was very good, and shout out to that place. If I could think of the name of it by the end of the show, I'll give you a more proper shout out.
Okay.
It was during we visited Lake George, New York, and then we were traveling east to Salem, Massachusetts. And we cut through Vermont during that time, and we cut through a diner there. We might have actually cut through Bennington, because Bennington is actually in the south of Vermont. So
looks like it.
There's a chance there. But
I do. One cool thing is that when this ground was chartered, most of the settlers were from Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Oh, look at that! We have connections between former teams. There you go. I do love, there's this bridge here that reminds me of speaking of Lake George, there's a park, an amusement park that was called Magic Forest up in Lake George. There's a Silk Road bridge that looks like you can have a train go across. That's what it reminds me of. It looks like a barn. It has I'm trying to remember what the name of the design is, but it has the diamond wooden planks, they create diamonds in the how they're laid out. I don't know what it's called specifically, but it's called Silk Covered Bridge, and that looks pretty neat. Not that we're gonna use it or anything. Just thought that was the one thing that I saw. This also, it does have the tallest structure in Vermont. I saw.
Nice.
So I was thinking we use the adjective erect in some capacity.
Don't think that's a great idea.
Okay, all right. I just want to check in with you first. All right,
yep.
Cool.
Vermont does have bobcats.
Ooh, okay.
Does have bobcats.
Okay.
I'm looking at wildlife. Also beavers. Chipmunks. Coyotes, fishers, some other mustelidae, weasels and stuff.
The Vermont wood chipmunks.
Wood chipmunks is not bad.
You got wood chips.
Yeah.
That's an idea. Or if you want to keep on with the lumber. You could do bobcats.
Don't think that works.
Okay, fair enough.
They were home to a battle in the Revolutionary War.
Right, yeah, that's the tall monument. I think the Bennington
Gotcha.
Battle Monument.
Yeah.
I believe might be a oh no, never mind. That is the American Revolutionary War, or was that what you were talking about?
That is what I mentioned.
Okay, never mind. I thought you said Civil War for some reason. All right, never mind.
Maybe I did, and I'm misremembering, but I meant Revolutionary.
That's okay. One of us blocked out, and that's fine. We're running off of Pilk right now. So
I don't feel too good.
Yeah, I don't feel too good, Mr. Stark. Okay. So I feel like I mean, and granted, I'm looking at what we have already. We definitely have worked with various different textures, but we wood is not one of them.
No.
Which is why that's why I'm leaning in that direction for how we want to approach this. I am trying to think if there's maybe other types of wood that we could lean into. I actually would be curious. What kind of trees are in Vermont?
Ooh, that's good.
What kind of trees are in Vermont? That's a good start here. The northern hardwood
hold on. All right, so I was sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I was looking for like synonyms for like wood and lumber, and I found the word timber, which is pretty good.
Okay.
And then my head said timber cats, and I was like, where do I know that fucking thing from? It's from Kipo and the Edge of the Wonder Beast.
Oh, okay. But hey, timber cats, not a bad idea. I was even thinking there's beech, birch, and maple are really what dominate the Vermont forests, and I was thinking the birch cats. Because like kind of. I mean, or beach cats, but like that's two E's in there.
Yeah.
BECH. Just because like it's close to bobcats in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's also maple, a lot of maple. So
cat.
like, we don't have to. I don't know if we do maple cats or we want to do something else. But those are all ideas that we could throw out there. I think I kind of am partial to birch cats a little bit.
Birch cat sounds good. I did search maple cat, and it is like a real cat that someone like made a website for, and they're adorable.
Oh, that's cute. Shout out to the maple.
Shout out maple cat, www.maplecat.co.
Hell yeah, I love that. That's a discovery.
This is a fucking adorable cat. Jesus Christ.
Hold on, I now I need to see. Oh my god, I want to squeeze its fucking cheeks. Oh my god, I absolutely love Maple Cat. I'm curious. They're in Southern California, because I was gonna say if they live in Vermont, we should just name this team Maple Cats in their honor. They would have no idea. No, I love that cat. Love the big eyes on it too.
Birch cat, and when we theme it around bobcat, feels really good to me.
Birch cat, I'm with you. I think we're good with that. So
Beddington.
Yeah, it's the Beddington. So it's BENNINGTON.
Yeah. Birch cats. All right. What fucking colors have we not used yet?
That's true. This is always the hard. This has become the hardest part of our adventures now, because now when you think birch, you think white, and I feel like we already have a white team.
We do have a white team.
I mean, it's kind of birch trees tend to be a mixture of they're white, black. I'm curious if they maybe have like. Let's look at the birch tree. Let's look at what birch trees look like here. Maybe they'll yeah. So they're typically white and black.
Yeah,
mostly white. They do have a very interesting green to them that we haven't really used before, so we could lead into that. It's kind of like a lightish green that's not so much like neon or anything, but it's not like dark like a normal tree color. It has like it's like a light. I want to say they are almost like, I don't know, this is a bad example, but like asparagus, like that kind of color of leaves. That's a really bad example. But it's a lighter leaf color than most other trees. So that's an idea. Is to move in that direction. Do we have? Is there any one color that we have not touched yet?
So we have orange, white, blue, gold, gray, cyan, pink, black, brown, green, red, yellow, purple, orange. So like we don't have a ton of red.
Okay.
There's multiple shades of like purple and green that we can do. I would say that orange, blue, and yellow are off the table.
Right.
We could do a different-ish shade of gray, potentially.
We could.
Like a very light gray and do a dark gray for the Mecha Moose.
I feel like a light gray with a green.
Well, that's very close to Astral Gators, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like if we're calling them birch cats, I mean, what colors are cats? Like I guess more specifically, what are cat colors?
I mean, bobcats are more like a tannish brown, kind of like that pewter.
What's the brown team that we already have?
That's the Mud Otters.
Okay. Because we could do a tan versus a deeper
we
brown
could, yeah.
And if we do tan, maybe we can pair that with a green, like the green that I'm thinking about for birch.
Mm-hmm.
A tan and green, I feel like, is a good color combination.
But it is brown and green for the Mud Otters is the problem.
Oh fuck! Okay,
yeah.
So never mind. So then let's.
However, what do you think of a tan and red? What is the AAFL, like the newer football league, that Michigan team? Kind of has like a tan and red, or kind of like 49ers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could do that. We could have it be like 49ers colors, red,
mm-hmm.
red and tan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's just like by not really having, we don't have much other route to go. Because I mean, I would even want to push for tan and white. But I understand if we already have one other white team.
We have an orange and white, unless you want to go back and change the fiber foxes to a different color. Because I agree that tan and white would be a really good color combination for like birch specifically.
Yeah, right. That's like, because that's what my mind is at, is like, because we have birch as the name. I feel like we need to have some kind of white with it, and then tan we can keep because of the birch.
So I like the idea, maybe even of doing like we can double up on white, and maybe have like not necessarily like 3 primary colors, but I do see at least kind of like a design thing where we do tan, like red, and then the tannish white can kind of like be almost speckled. I don't know if speckled's the right word, but
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Combine the red and the tan and white a little bit, and red is mostly just accents to the tan and white.
It's one of those things where
eggshell white, or like one of the off whites.
Yeah, we will have to we can change up the white a little bit if we wanted to. I was even gonna say though, like if we wanted to keep it red tan for our 2 colors, we could have it. I mean, the uniforms are going to have a lot of white in them.
Yeah, and the visitors uniforms are going to be white anyway.
Right, and then even in the logo, we can kind of specify, like, all right, yeah, well, it's birch, so it'll have the tan. It'll be a tan cat, maybe with some red speckles, but maybe like a white underbelly or legs or whatever. Like we could incorporate all like you're saying, like all 3 colors in that way.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
So you want to go in that direction?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all 8 teams selected for the VBBFL. We did it. It was a lot of work, but we got there. Our final roster read here is the Woonsocket Fiber Foxes, the Euclid Polka Deer, the Westminster Mecha Moose, the Sanford Possum Express, the Lafayette Mud Otters, the Tacoma Glass Orcas, the Joplin Ghost Hogs, and the Bennington Birch Cats.
All right, who's your favorite out of these?
I think I like the Mecha Moose
a lot.
It's either that or the Possum Express?
It's Possum Express or Ghost Hogs for me.
That's true. Ghost Hogs is very good. Ghost Hogs is very good.
Yeah.
A wild bunch. This is a wild bunch. And so the next step for us is going to be to start recruiting people, getting people together to select a team and be interested in a draft. And I know that we have a good amount of people who have already expressed interest. We do have a few spots that we need to fill, and so we're gonna be on the lookout. We're gonna see how we can build up this team, and again, we'll see how many people can be involved. Worst case scenario, we'll end up drafting a team in their spot.
Yeah.
That's and it's not like we don't affect the roles really. Like we make decisions, but we are not going to be the ones that we're going to be working with. Whoever is in charge of their team is going to have a lot of say in what happens with their team in terms of who they draft, and we'll also get them involved in doing the points. And then ultimately, we're just going to make sure that we're fair across the board with how we do them, just in case we can't get 8 individuals. So we'll see how it goes. All right, that's that. Good stuff. Matt, we have a lot of things to kind of review and tie up before we pick the first set of playoff games for this season. Last week, Matt, you went on the defensive, essentially, I guess. I don't know if it's defensive or offensive. You went on the offensive.
I did a Hail Mary.
Yeah, so you did a Hail Mary. You went against me in 8 different games. The good news is that you got 5 of them.
Woo!
But you needed all 8 probably to catch up to me. But you did win the week. You went 12-4. You got your chaos, so you got 9 points. I went 10-6, got 4 points, and the final totals for the regular season is Matt. You went 165, 104 with 61 points, and we have a new champion in the picks contest. 170.99 was my record, 71 points.
Excellent. Well done. Well played.
And well played. It was a well fought battle. I think you definitely did a very good job of trying to pick games at the end to try to catch back up. It just wasn't enough, but that just happens. I do want to point out a few things here. We ended up getting the same amount of guarantees and chaoses throughout the season.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
What is very funny to me, and maybe this I think is also just pretty indicative of how just picking works. But I started losing my first 4 guarantees.
Yeah.
And got better and better, and then I got 5 in a row at the end. Wasn't so good. I was okay at chaoses at first, and then I got better and better chaoses at the end. And week 10 on, I got 6 out of 9, 2/3 of all my picks in the last half of the season were correct chaoses.
Yeah, I had the exact opposite journey where I started out 5 of the first 7 I got correct for Team Chaos, and then the rest of the way I went like 7 I went 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I went 3 and 8 the rest of the way with my chaos, and ultimately, like I was like, oh man, I might be able to actually like get like a winning record with the chaoses, and that just did not end up working out.
Yeah.
It's all said and done. And by the way, I did say we had the same number of guarantees. Technically, that's not true because of the 2 weird situations for me. The Commanders ended up being a tie, and of course the Bills-Bengals game that got canceled. So technically, you did get more guarantees correct than me, but we had the same number of guarantees lost that affected our records because of that. And we both finished with 0 bonus points because of it, because it was 10-8 and 8-10 essentially in both. So that so I mean, look, even though it ended up really just coming down to how many games we picked against each other more than anything, and I just ended up squeaking out at the end. Real quick, let's go over. Earlier in the year we did win totals. We went through and we picked where we thought every team would fit under with like the over and unders. I completely forgot we did it until I saw it in my like files. I was like, yeah, shit, we did do that. And so I went 20-11 with picking teams in their win totals. You went 16-15. So that was that.
Yeah, and notice how we're not. It doesn't add up to 32 because bafflingly the Chargers finished exactly at their total because the dumbasses didn't do a 0.5 for the Chargers specifically.
Yeah.
So everybody is at 31 total points.
It's very weird. It's a very weird circumstance. In the team by team picks, I've been working on this all year. This was a lot. If you look at it from an outside like perspective, though, this actually ended up being a lot closer. I ended up squeaking this out where I got 15 teams I guessed better than you versus 11, which that you got more than me, and there were 6 ties overall. The biggest difference between the two of us was the Seattle Seahawks, where I got 12. I went 12-5 picking the Seahawks, and you went 6-11 picking the Seahawks.
Let's go Seattle.
So and by the way, when I say picking, we're talking just picking their games in general. It does not necessarily mean we're picking them to win. So just to keep that in mind while I keep on saying these things.
Yeah.
Matt, your best record was the best overall record for one particular team. 15-2.
Oh.
Picking the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me. I pick for teams that are like winning a bunch.
Yeah,
I can choose it right, and then when they're gonna get upset, I can choose it right more often than not. Other than the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts one I think was one of your only stumbling points, but 15-2 is still pretty freaking good.
It's pretty damn good. If that was an NFL record,
yes, now
that team is amazing.
That's a one seed right there.
Yeah.
My best record was also Kansas City. I went 14-3 with that. And it was I was tied with the Texans there. I also went 14-3 with the Texans. My worst was the 7-10 Carolina Panthers, which we tied on.
Okay.
On that front.
Lay it on me.
And then the Washington football team was also I was tied. I was tied. Say again.
Commanders. They have a name now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Commanders are they were my worst. And you actually went 10-7 picking Washington. Okay. Your best 3 against me were Tampa, Tennessee, and Washington. You went 11-6 while I went 8-9 with Tampa. I went 11-6 with Tennessee. You went 14-3 with Tennessee. And
fuck you, Tennessee.
That is the most impressive of all of this, because Tennessee is such a weird fucking football team, and you guessed them right 14 times. That's insane.
Well, listen. Remember when the Titans started 7-3 and then lost all their games, lost 7 straight?
Yeah,
I predicted those.
Yeah, you did.
I predicted their downfall.
You got it. You absolutely nailed that. And then as I mentioned, Washington was you went 10-7. I went 7-10. So that was your best. Another one that I felt was notable, Minnesota. I guessed 13-4, and you went 9-8 with. And our 6 ties were the Chargers, 13-4 for both of us. The Giants, 11-6, both of us. The Bengals, 10-6, both of us. The Saints, 10-7. The Packers, 9-8.
Okay.
And the Carolina Panthers, we were both not as great with. And I'm trying to. So, and do you want to know what like?
I want to know what my worst was.
So I already said it. Your worst was the Seattle Seahawks.
The Seahawks. Okay. All right.
Yeah, which is 6-11.
Yeah.
It was actually before last week. It was Vegas.
Okay, I can see that.
and then you ended up the last, I think the last 2 weeks, or no, it was just last week. Last week I think was what ended up burying the Seahawks at the end.
All right, Chris,
So,
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I since you probably have a list, I think this may be easiest to do.
Yep.
What was your favorite Team Chaos that you got right?
Ooh.
That you were like that. I have two for me that I can't decide between. But ones that you were like, I called this shit and no one believed me.
That's hard because I especially near the end I was kind of taking I was being a little cheeky about it. I mean I think early on, and I think just speaking to the whole season as a whole, like having the Jaguars blow out the Chargers, that was a chaos that I was pretty proud of, and the fact that ended up culminating in what I was predicting, which was an AFC South title for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
The fact that ended up working out, I think that's probably the proudest thing I'm proud of. I'll keep looking, but I'm curious about what your twos were.
All right, so I have two. The first one is the Giants over the Packers in London.
That's a great one.
That was one that I like. They were like 10-point underdogs going into the game and just like rallied and beat the Packers. That was great. The other one was predicting Washington would be the first team to beat the Eagles. That
was an all-timer. That was insane.
Yeah,
because I even teased you about that.
Yeah, you were.
I was
like,
not
that's the only pick I've ever made that you have like questioned my ability to host a football podcast on.
No, I don't think I didn't mean to have that come across in that way. You
called
just
me
like,
the biggest idiot you've ever talked to.
I don't think that
did not do this.
I think you have to listen back to that. Yeah, no, but no, I was legitimately like, okay, that's a bold ass chaos. I'm really curious if that, in my mind, I was like, all right, I guess I'll just chalk that one up as a victory for me. No siree, no siree. That was a very, very good. But I think also, like, speaking of the Packers situation, I mean, it didn't feel as probably satisfying as the Giants over the Packers, but the following week when the Jets beat the Packers,
yes, that
was also like a super satisfying, like, oh, okay, cool, we're in a very good spot here.
Fuck you, Green Bay. Go cry into your Colby Jack.
Week 16, I had the Texans as a chaos. Oh, that was to a Titans team. Okay, no, they were falling apart. Okay, yeah, no, I think it really was like early on getting that Jags win, and then what ended up culminating in their division title. That really was the chaos that I was super proud of. Real quick, I mentioned it earlier in terms of what ended up happening with our college football picks. The final records for those was actually a lot closer than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Matt, you went 23-20. I went 20-23.
Yeah.
At the end. So
very close.
It was just like those last few bowls. There was a certain, like, I posted on Twitter, but there was a path where that could have ended in a tie, but ultimately it just did not work out in my favor. But we both drank Pilk together, and we still sitting here feeling a little miserable. There you go. All right, there you go. That's a good summation of everything. I feel like I covered our bases on that front. We'll talk about overall season predictions probably when the season's officially over. But with that, Matt, we have football. We do have football this weekend, and it's a big one. It's the start of wildcard weekend, super wildcard weekend. Gotta be honest, Matt. I don't know. I don't think this is gonna be. I mean, last year we were like, oh man, this is gonna be a great wildcard weekend, and it ended up not really being that great. This one, I'm already like, this is not gonna be that great of a weekend,
yeah,
right?
little stinky.
Yeah, it's kind of stinky poo here. Well, let's start out with the Seahawks at the 49ers. The Seahawks stuck in at the end of last week with the win over the Rams in overtime. 49ers, they're on a 10-game winning streak but could not get to the 1 seed, so they do have to play Seattle. 49ers have won both of the matchups against Seahawks, and pretty handily, too. Matt, do the 49ers get their third victory and move on to the divisional round?
The 49ers have won 10 straight games,
Yep.
even with Brock Purdy. Their defense is elite. I struggle to see the Seahawks getting a footing here. I think the 49ers will easily take care of business.
I'm with you. I'm also picking the 49ers. It just does not feel like the Seahawks are getting a little bit healthier coming into this game, but I just think right now I don't know who beats the 49ers in this NFC playoff race, especially considering how the Eagles have kind of begun to not play as well in recent times, and not as healthy, and the Cowboys are also seemingly kind of falling apart, and then everyone else is a big old question mark. It just feels like the 49ers are the most consistent team in this playoff field, potentially. So,
yeah,
I'm going to go 49ers.
All right. I need to look up the order so I know what's coming next.
You just look up at the NFL schedule. We don't have our usual picks, the pigskin pick'em.
Yep.
That we.
All right. The other Saturday game, probably the most interesting one of the weekend.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I agree.
Yeah. The Chargers versus the Jaguars. Chargers coming in, hobbling in, injured. They've been in the playoffs for a while, but hobbling in a little bit injured. Mike Williams, a game time decision versus the Jaguars at full strength on a bit of hot streak. We're able to win their division. Who do you think is going to take this one? I'm very curious what you are going to say.
Yet
I think I know regardless.
Yeah, the Jaguars, I feel like they had a rough game in Week 18, but they still were able to have their defense show up. Their last few games for the Jaguars, their defense has been playing a lot better, and Trayvon Walker's really started to show why he was the number 1 overall pick in some ways. Josh Allen, that Jaguars Josh Allen, of course, playing very well. I'm curious. The Chargers do have kind of a difficult defense. I'm curious if the offense will be able to wake up a little bit in this game. I like the Jaguars in this matchup, man. I kind of think that they could have another one of those, 2018 years where maybe we see this team accidentally stumble into the AFC Championship game, and maybe this time they pull it off. Who knows? But I'm going Jaguars for this game.
I don't think they'll get quite that far.
No, I'm wishful thinking.
But they will make the divisional round. When the Chargers do not have all their players at 100%, they're not a good football team.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars right now are a pretty damn good football team. It's in Jacksonville. Jacksonville goes crazy. I'm picking the Jaguars. If we were doing guarantees, this would be my very gutsy guarantee.
That's true. We just for the newer audience, no more guarantees or chaoses. We're just picking straight up now. But I do think regardless, this is going to be a closer game than the game that they had in September. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Dolphins at Bills, the 7-2. As I mentioned earlier, Dolphins won their game and the Patriots lost, so that opened the door for the Dolphins to get in, and the Bills are don't get the number 1 overall seed, but this is an interesting circumstance where it doesn't look like Tua is going to play. It maybe even be questionable that Teddy is going to play at this point. So it's going to be Skylar Thompson potentially starting in this game against a Bills team that is, I think, on fire right now. What do you think? Is there any hope for the Miami Dolphins?
There's not any hope for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add. Like, the Bills are, like you said, the Bills are on fire. They want to prove that they are the best AFC East team because they are. Start of the season, there was even doubts if that was the case.
Yeah.
And at one point, they were in 3rd place, but now they're in 1st place. They're playing hard. They have the drive. They have more of a drive to win than any other team that I've seen right now.
Yeah. I really am struggling to I'm struggling to even think of a scenario where the Dolphins pull it out outside of maybe Skylar Thompson has a really sharp day, and you have the wide receivers that they have playing at an elite level, and then maybe it just becomes a little bit of a shootout. But especially I don't know how cold it's going to be in Buffalo, and that environment is just such a difficult environment to play in when you're on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it for this team, which is a bummer, because I feel like the last 2 times we saw these teams play against each other, we're like, oh man, how cool would it be if we get a third matchup of these guys and it's in the wild card round. But because they are lacking at quarterback, it's just now like, we're kind of being robbed of something that could have been really special. Maybe it still could be in some way, but yeah, I'm going Bills.
Cool. All right, next up, here's the probably not the best matchup, but the most fascinating one. Because it's the New York Giants, who nobody thought would be in the playoffs at the start of the season, versus the Vikings, who everyone thought would probably be in the playoffs, and have a -3 point differential and 13 wins on the season. How wild of a matchup is this, where these teams face each other? There was a last-second field goal that decided it. Will the Vikings have that same luck, or will the G-Men reign supreme?
This is the hardest matchup for me to pick, I think, this week, because I look at this. Anything could happen. That's the thing. It is not the flashiest matchup. I would still say Chargers Jaguars being the best one. I do think this is right up there, though. I think that this could be a wild game. As a Giants fan, it's been a weird year. I have not really been that excited about them getting to the playoffs. Not to say that it's a bad thing. It's just this team hasn't really impressed me. The last few weeks, though, and say what you will, like they played the Colts and they played the Eagles with their backups, but they have been playing well in those games, and I feel like the Vikings might be starting to fall back down to earth. They've lost. They lost their the second to last game to the Packers by a big margin, and even though that they did get the win against the Bears, it was like close, and then they pulled their starters. I just feel like the Vikings, they have this chaotic energy, and they probably are going to win this game. But last time when the Giants were in the playoffs, and I was doing doing a podcast, it was not this. I picked against them because I was sure that they were going to lose, and they ended up losing, and it was an embarrassing form. I'm picking the Giants in this game. I had the Vikings written down here like before this, but I just am like, how many times can I sit here and be like, oh yeah, I do think the Giants have a good shot to win this game, because I do think they have it, because I don't think the Vikings are a consistent team. Now, would I be shocked if the Vikings pulled off a win by double points? Like, sure, like, no, I'm not going to be shocked, and I won't even be mad. Like, I think there's a bright future here for the Giants, and I think it's whatever the outcome is, they should be happy that they made it this far. But how cool would it be if they could get to the divisional round and win a playoff game here? I'm picking the Giants. It would be amazing.
I am also picking the Giants.
Yes.
I like it's everything that I highlighted and that you highlighted as well. It's so like the Vikings have been a trap team, and I've been higher on the Vikings.
Yes, yeah.
Than most, but it's still like it can't be denied at this point. And yeah. I feel like the Giants will find a way to win. Dable will find a way to win.
Yeah.
I think it would be juicy if that happened.
It is juicy. It's a juicy situation. Absolutely.
Fucking hell.
Next up, Sunday Night Football, the Ravens at Bengals. again, another matchup that I think could be a little bit closer to the Dolphins and Bills, just because of the talent that the Ravens have on defense has been stellar, and it's one of the reasons why they keep close in a lot of these games. But another game where we don't know what the status of Lamar Jackson is, that sure looks like he is not playing, and even Tyler Huntley is looking like he might not even play. But we'll see. Maybe that's going to end up changing here soon. But the Bengals coming in after having a strong second half of the season and looking like another AFC superpower that's going to ultimately have play a big role in this playoffs potentially once again. What do you think is going to happen here?
Unsurprisingly, Lamar Jackson actually mentioned on Twitter today that his knee's not at 100%. And will likely not be playing. A PCL grade 2 strain, borderline strain 3, inflammation still surrounding my knee, his knee. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not playing. It's not gonna be good. Yeah, I'm picking the Bengals for sure.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bengals too. Worth noting that there is some conversations about how maybe there is this scenario where he is holding out because he doesn't have the contract, and he's just choosing at this point to do that because mainly he's injured and he doesn't have like that. He's not getting paid the big quarterback bucks.
Yeah.
If he's doing that, that's his choice. But it definitely, I think with the situation with Roquan Smith and how he ended up negotiating a contract on his own, there was a lot of people who were saying the reason why Lamar Jackson hasn't gotten a contract is because he doesn't have an agent and has been negotiating a contract on his own.
However, they did just give like a long-term contract to Roquan Smith.
That's what I'm saying.
Who is also
that's
representing himself.
That's why I just said
Yeah.
That's like it is. It's not looking that great in terms of what Lamar Jackson is doing potentially. But I mean, obviously he does deserve to get paid, and so if he feels like he doesn't want to put his body on the line in this game, just and ruin potentially a long-term future because of that, I think that's fair. We'll see how it goes. It's a very murky situation and probably one of the biggest off-season storylines here for the Ravens, especially if they lose this weekend without him playing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Monday Night Football. You know what? I would say that there are three like absolute stinkers, and then three like let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is a now Tampa Bay in the playoffs with a losing record because they are the champions of the NFC South, the go fuck yourself division of the year. Oh, I didn't mention the go fuck yourself games of the week earlier.
There's a few of them
because there were a few. Miami at New York, go fuck yourself. What was the other one?
I want to say, was it Steelers? Browns and Steelers?
No, I think they got enough.
There was definitely one more though. You're right.
There was. I need to look. Hold on.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll continue. I'll
yeah. Sorry, this is important.
No, we gotta make sure who fucked themselves this week.
Panthers Saints, go fuck yourself.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, Steelers scored 28 points. That's not a go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Cowboys, very much like seen as the better team, had an awful week 18, but still have a really great defense, an offense that like when it works, but has never worked in the month of January. It gets too cold for them. If you're cold, they're cold. Let them inside. And
all right, Sarah McLachlan.
And Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys. So, what do you do? Who wins this game?
Yeah, I lied. I think this might be the harder one to pick.
Yeah.
I'm going Tampa.
Okay.
I feel like the Bucks they're actually at their healthiest right now. They're getting to the point where their roster does not have a lot of key injuries at this point. I feel like in this situation, either of these teams could fall apart. In this situation, it just feels like it's built for that. And you could say the Cowboys are, like, on paper, yeah, the Cowboys are a better team right now. But I need to see it from the Cowboys. They need to win a playoff game here. And they need to win against these Bucks, and I just don't quite believe in them. I feel like they're falling apart at the wrong time. So I'm going Buccaneers.
This is where we will defer.
Yeah,
I will take the Cowboys, and I have famously, famous in terms of like between you and I, staked myself into the Cowboys too often in the past.
Sure.
And so like the Cowboys are definitely going to lose this game, but I'm going to pick the Cowboys.
Okay, fair enough. Keep a tradition going, I guess.
Yep.
Hey, no, I think this is gonna. It's a fascinating game. I think you do, like you said, you have a really fascinating game in Chargers Jaguars, a fascinating game in Giants Vikings, and a fascinating game in Cowboys Buccaneers. Every day of the playoffs is gonna have one fascinating game, and then clunkers kind of surrounding them. So we'll see how it goes. I think we're all just kind of looking forward to the division weekend and to see how that all ends up working out. Matt, one more thing before we go.
Okay.
What is your Super Bowl prediction as of now?
I mean, like, again, I called something at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking it over. If I truly did not think it would happen, like if Jalen Hurts was if Jalen Hurts was not on the team right now, I maybe would not pick the Eagles to make it to the Super Bowl. However, despite how good the 49ers are playing, I think that the Eagles are still going to be my NFC pick.
Okay.
Mostly because like it's possible. I see the path. Eagles are still a great team, and I think that like now that Jalen Hurts, like he has the game back, he does have the ability to take him. And then I'm like, is there any other option than the Buffalo Bills for me on the AFC side? I have the Buffalo Bills winning this year's Super Bowl over the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Earlier in the season, I think I predicted the Chargers over the 49ers. I then changed that prediction mid-season to Ravens over 49ers. I've had the 49ers in my sights. I feel good about sticking with them at this point. It's just at this point, do I trust either the Chargers or Ravens to make the Super Bowl with their current conditions? I don't know if I do. I gotta go with a team that it just feels like destiny. I'm gonna say that the Buffalo Bills also win the Super Bowl.
All right.
Over the 49ers.
All right.
So there you go.
There we go.
What a podcast. Loaded cheesy fries. You get loaded cheesy fries?
Not usually, no. I sometimes like get cheese fries, but like I've never. This is gonna sound strange. I've never had cheese fries, like I never go to a place and get cheese fries. The only couple times that I've tried cheese fries is in to-go orders.
Sure. Okay.
And that's not how you want to do. I was not a fan of that. How it travels.
Yeah, for me, it's going to Outback, getting the cheesy fries. They have the bacon, and they have a little cup of ranch.
Yeah.
It's fucking, it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. But there you go. It was a great episode. Do you still feel the effects of the Pilk?
A little bit.
Okay. I think even though I downed the glass, I think I'm good at this point.
Yeah, I still smell. I'm starting to smell the glass that's on my table. So I'm gonna dump that out as soon as we finish.
Yeah, that's true.
I
I'll
have
let
still
you
been
do
drinking
that.
Pepsi though, if that means anything. Right out of the 2-liter, because I
Yeah,
live alone. Damn it.
Damn right. Damn right. That's a great way to live right there. That's the bachelor lifestyle, baby. All right. Thank you all so much. We'll be back next week for the divisional round. I don't have anything else planned right now. We were building up to this episode, and there was a lot to go, and I have no idea what the future of the podcast holds.
Nope.
So we'll talk next week for the wild card games, and we'll pick our divisional games. But until then, we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.